Hey there! Welcome to the Flute 360 podcast. I'm Dr. Heidi K. Begay, and I'm a flutist, educator, coach, and podcaster. My God-given mission is to serve you. I am passionate about guiding you, the modern-day flutist, to discover your unique voice on and off the stage. The goal of this podcast is to help you thrive, both as an artist and as a musicpreneur. Go ahead and grab some espresso, your favorite notepad, and let's get to it. Today's episode 262 is titled, Help, I Don't Have Enough Time For. Are you a flutist frustrated that your instrument doesn't accurately represent your artistic voice? We hear you. Not owning an instrument that will showcase your musical abilities and let your creative voice shine through can be frustrating. Let us help you change that. At the Carolyn Nesbaum Music Company, we have a team of flute specialists who have been working in the industry for decades, and they have the knowledge and the skill to help you find your dream instrument. They have a wide selection of piccolos, flutes, low flutes, and head joints to match your creative needs. To help you find your perfect instrument, call the Flute Shop at 972-985-2662 to schedule your flute trial today. Or visit their website at fluteforyou.com. where you can check out their instrument selection online. Follow the Flute Store through Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or Twitter for the latest news and updates. The Carolyn Nesbaum Music Company is truly your one-stop flute shop. Hey there, Flute 360er. Thank you so much for clicking play, and I cannot wait to dive into today's topic, which is all about time management skills. So I'm in this heart space and head space with y'all right now because through DMs, emails, and at flute festivals, you have been pouring out your heart from you to me. And I hear you. And one of the pain points I hear quite often is I don't have enough time for fill in the blank. So whether you are struggling with this or not, I really hope that today's content serves you well, where you can start looking and taking an inventory of your time, money, and energy and seeing where it's being placed. Okay? So if you right now are dealing and struggling with time management skills where you find yourself saying, I don't have time for practicing, or I don't have time for my family and friends the way I want to be there for them. Or I'm not quite finding time and energy to reach my career or musical goals, then this conversation is for you. And it's important to note that you are not alone. This is something I am hearing quite a bit in recent conversations. And if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm alone in this, this is something that I keep struggling with, no, you are literally not alone. And it's hard. It's really challenging, and it can be extremely overwhelming to manage your time well with all of the different hats that we have to wear as a modern day flutist. Some of us are parents, aunts and uncles, teachers, performers, nonprofit organizers, and the list goes on and on. So what are you to do, right? The amount of work and the amount of possibly stress that's on your life can be a bit much. And I think if we take 10 steps back together and take an inventory of these different resources that we are utilizing in our life, we can be a little bit more strategic with these resources. And the resources that I'm referring to are time, money, and energy. So I start here because I want you to know that you only have a finite amount, a specific amount of time, money, and energy that is allotted to you. You are not a robot. You are a human being. Not that you need that reminder, but you are. You are a human being. You need to rest. You need to carve out time for healing and your health and R&R and to have your other needs met, right? You need to carve out time to be with loved ones. You cannot always be on the go, go, go. So knowing this, right? So understanding that you have a finite amount of energy, time, and money allocated to the things that you want to accomplish, I think is a good starting point. It's a great place to acknowledge and say, okay, I only have X amount of hours a day to get these tasks done. Am I in a space where I'm going to be the most efficient towards these short-term and long-term goals? So I think, I don't know about you, but if you are such an action taker like I am, sometimes that's a blessing and a curse. Sometimes I get in the way of my own long-term goals because I'm always go, go, go. And that's good, but I have to often ask myself, am I go, go, go for the right reasons and towards the right direction? You can be super busy. There is no problem with any of us filling our plate up with all of the to-do lists, right? Between rehearsals and practices and carpooling and helping out your family with different events and the day-to-day tasks, man, we can get super, super busy. But the question is, are we being productive and intentional and effective towards our short-term and long-term goals? Okay? So if we can get super clear on those goals, then we can reverse engineer it. My grandpa on my mom's side, he was a carpenter. He was also a janitor and he was a postman. He worked 3 jobs. And I saw him work so feverishly for his family. And as a carpenter, I remember and I have really fond memories of being in his work shed, on his workbench, working towards these beautiful pieces of art and furniture. He would build birdhouses and cradles and items for babies, furniture like dressers for around the house. He was an artist, and he would always say, measure twice, cut once. And I tend to cut because I like to feel super busy. I like to feel like I'm getting things done, which again, there's nothing wrong with taking action. And in fact, there's a lot of clarity that you can achieve from action, but measure twice. Kind of like episode 261, where I said, take an inventory, pause, reflect before you start taking action. That's the measuring twice item, because you don't want to waste wood. You don't want to waste the energy that it takes to saw the piece of wood. You want to be effective. So before you go into the next month, the next quarter, the next year, figure out how you want to use your time, money, and resources in an effective way before you even arrive at that place. Okay? So that's the element of reverse engineering that I encourage you to take if this resonates with you and if this is in alignment with you. This is where you will see your transformation. Can you imagine having clarity around your schedule? Can you imagine having amazing focus and drive and work that's in alignment and flowing towards those short-term and long-term goals? And it comes with ease. This is what I want for you, because I hate hearing 3-6 years go, oh my gosh, I'm all over the place. I don't have time for practicing. I don't have time for my family and friends. I don't have time for me. what am I supposed to do? Well, we are going to fix that. So in the last episode, I was all about like Venn diagrams and charts and exercises. And apparently this is where my headspace is because I'm going to give you another visualization to help you with this. So because we are taking 10 steps back, we are looking at our resources, time, energy, and money. Everything flows together, okay? It may seem separate, but the way you use your time is probably the way you use your money. Think about that. There's no judgment. It's just an observation. Do you budget, right? And if you budget your finances, great. Take that same idea and budget your time, and vice versa. So we're taking 10 steps back. We're looking holistically at this upcoming academic year, or you can do this for 2024, whatever works well for you. I want you to look at your resources, time, money, and energy from this bird's eye view, okay? So this idea of we cannot compartmentalize our life, right? I am not just a flute teacher. I am also an aunt and a wife and a flutist and a business owner. And how do I use my time, money, and energy towards those different roles that I hold in my own life? And I often think of my life into these, 4 circles. And I'm thinking of 4 circles because of E261. And if I can visualize, obviously, I can't be separated like that, right? Everything kind of ebbs and flows from one facade of Heidi into the next. But if we had to separate it, then it would be represented as 4 separate circles. And each circle is 25% of the pie. Now, the number of circles for you may be different. I'm just giving you an example to see how I'm going to go down this funnel with you of how my time, money, and energy all flow together to help me reach those short-term and long-term goals. So that way I can step out of my monthly, quarterly, annual world and go, yes, I had time for blank. I made time for blank because this was a priority for me. This is something I held high, and I prioritized these different tasks on my calendar, on my reminder app, towards these monthly, quarterly, annually goals. So if we look at these 4 circles and we were to separate my life, we have 25% for personal, and this includes my faith, my health, and hobbies. The other circle also represents 25% of my life, and that is for family. My husband, my niece, my mom, my sister, my brother-in-law, the cats, home things that I need to do for the house, etc. The third slice of the pie, the third circle, is another 25%, and that's me as a flutist, performing things like that. And the last circle is the last 25%, and that's where I get to wear the hat of owner of my 3 businesses. So I want you to allocate and figure out what your different circles are. What are your different buckets? What are the big hats that you wear in your own life? By doing this, you are taking an inventory of who you are and what goals you have on an annual, quarterly, monthly basis within each realm. And this will make sense here in a little bit. But if you can prioritize and have these big bird's eye view goals, then the daily, weekly tasks make more sense. They have more purpose because they are working towards the quarterly and annually goals. So once I have my 4 circles established, this then gives me a holistic view of how I'm going to go about the next year, the next quarter, things like that. So for my annual goals in each circle, I'm being very vulnerable. This is like real life. There's no sugarcoating, nothing. This is what is on my heart for this academic year coming up. And that is my big annual goal for the personal realm is for me to prioritize better my health. So I'm going to talk about this in an upcoming episode. Here's a little teaser. But this past year, I've been dealing with a lot of neck issues because I was in a recent car accident and I've had a lot of trauma to my neck this past year. And so looking at that and seeing how my body went through that trauma, I want to, for this upcoming academic year, set aside time for physical therapy, exercise more, build up strength. So that way I just feel better because I know when I feel better as an individual, then I can go to the other relationships in my life, like my clients, students, my husband, and I can be 1000% Heidi to the best of my ability. So a huge annual goal in the personal circle is to prioritize health. My next circle is for family. One big goal that Eric and I have for this upcoming year is to be more organized. Okay? As a flutist, as a performer, one of my huge annual goals is to perform more at church. And specifically, I envision performing more for couples who are going through an enduring infertility. And that's something that's been put on my heart because that's something that Eric and I have been struggling with for quite some time. And I would be over the moon to offer some sort of support, musical uplift for other couples who may be facing this right now in their particular season. So that's a huge goal of mine, is to be playing more at church events and maybe brunches for these women and men. The next big annual goal that I have in the business realm is to make over 100K for my 3 businesses. Okay? So the reason why I am being so candid and so vulnerable and open with these annual goals is because you need to be really honest with yourself. What do you want to achieve? Okay? I know, and I can't speak for you, but I know I sometimes put things on my to-do lists and my weekly calendar, planner, things like that, based on what I think, air quote, they want me to do, right? Kind of like in the last episode when I talked about how I felt pressured to be auditioning for orchestras, but that wasn't in my heart. I had no desire to go around the country and take on these auditions, but I was doing it because that's what you're supposed to do, right? But as a flutist, where am I most comfortable, right? What do I want to do with my art? What do I want to say in my music making? Where do I want to be? Who do I want to play with? And if it's on my heart to play at X venue, then I need to go and lean on that and double down and see where that takes me. Okay? There's flexibility here. There's always an ebb and flow. I'm talking about scheduling and planners and things like that. And it sounds very rigid, but I'm also very aware that I have to give myself permission for the nuances of life, to find and to have that flexibility in my world, to find that balance. Okay? So I'm being honest and candid and vulnerable about these goals because that's what I want you to do for yourself. Are you taking on that audition because you truly want to? If so, yay! Hats off to you. Yes, go with your core, go with your heart and see where that takes you. Are you really wanting that degree? You don't have to go right into your master's program just because you graduated with your bachelor's degree. Don't feel the need or the pressure to do that just because that's what they say to do. Sit down, reflect, really meditate, and really figure out if that truly is one of your long-term goals. It's okay to stop and pause and to take an inventory of where you are and where you want to be and how you are going to get there. So you get the picture. I want you to figure out how many circles represent the different parts of your life and figure out how many big long-term goals you have per circle. From there, we get to funnel down. And now that we have the annual goals for each of these 4 circles laid out, now having that vision, having that plan in place will lovingly encourage me, the owner of these circles, it will lovingly encourage me to put the right systems in place in order to achieve those 4 big goals. So since I'm in this space right now, I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about these past conversations I've had with you at Flute festivals. Some of you within your career circle, let's say one of your 4 circles is career, okay? A lot of you are taking huge pivots right now, and you are deciding, I want to leave my 9 to 5 because it is a job that is holding me back. I find no fulfillment in it whatsoever, and I want a change. Well, guess what? Pick an end date. Pick an end goal and say, this is the date in which I want to leave my job, and from here till then, I will implement these steps to achieve that goal. That is why I'm asking you and encouraging you to be super honest with yourself. Okay? You only get one life, right? And let's make the best of it. So if your goal in the career bubble is to pivot, then you and only you can know that. You and only you can set up the healthy boundaries that you need to within that realm to make that dream a reality. Okay? No one else is going to set up those boundaries for you other than yourself. And that needs to be shown in the different systems that you are going to set up for yourself so that way you can take action and reach your goal that much quicker, because you were being really smart and strategic about your resources, the time, the money, and the energy. So going to my circle number 2, for family, one of our huge goals for the boughed household is to be a little bit more organized, because running 3 businesses together as a husband and wife duo can be a lot. The lines are blurred quite a bit through our relationship in the sense that we are co-business owners and partners. We are married to each other, and we have to be very strategic and very smart about being organized, because it can feel like a lot of days. When we sit down to work, we work from home, and we have to be really smart with how our space, how our home is laid out, how it flows. I know Eric and I, as a couple and as individuals, if we don't feel like we are in a very clean, organized home, then he and I get stressed out because we work from home. So organization is a huge bird's eye view goal. It's a long-term goal. So I'm going to take that as an example so you can see what I'm doing then, funneling it down in order to reach that goal for this upcoming year. So for example, just take an inventory. Where are we not organized? Well, I don't know about you, but when it comes to laundry, oh my gosh, it can be a bit much. I have no problem getting the loads organized and putting it into the washing machine, but when it gets dried, it just sits in a huge heap in a laundry basket on the chair in the bedroom, and I never fold the laundry. I know I cannot be the only one. I have such a hard time putting laundry away. So what do? That obviously, having that disorganization is something that Eric really does not like. He hates to see clean laundry just wadded up and not put away. So I knew and I know that I have to have some organizational object, some system in place in order for me to reach that goal. So I realized that the small laundry basket was not serving me well. Okay. I knew it. I knew that was a part of the problem. So I went to Amazon. I started researching. I started looking at different laundry organizers, and I found the perfect object. So I'm going to have to definitely put the link in the show notes below, because if you are like me, this object could literally be a game changer for you. And I don't know what to really call it. It's basically a laundry organizer. There are 3 baskets on the bottom. It's on this rolly cart contraption, and there's a metal pole on top where you can hang your hangers. So now when the clothes get dried, I get to organize pants, shirts, towels in the 3 baskets on the bottom, and then hang up the shirts right then and there as they are coming out of the dryer up onto a hanger. Roll the cart to the closet, voila, clothes are put away. Okay? So I know that could seem like a silly example, but having that tool, having that system in place will make me reach that goal that much faster. And seeing is believing. So if I have like an overarching goal of being more organized in the Boughed family, and I need weekly reminders, you betcha I am putting that into my calendar. It seems ridiculous, but if you have a hard time doing laundry or putting laundry away, put that in your planner. So I have laundry being done every Sunday afternoon, and laundry is an actual appointment on my calendar. I need that reminder. Okay. So that was the family goal. That's just a small example with laundry. If you have, I know a lot of you right now are struggling with finding time to practice more. That's a huge pain point that I'm hearing quite often. If that's the case, and if flutist is one of your bubbles, then find the right tool, just like the laundry organizer, find the right tool to help you reach your goal. Okay? So for me, again, seeing is believing. I know for me, if I want to practice more, I need that reminder. I put it into my calendar, and I have a practice journal out onto my music stand. So it's that daily, weekly reminder to work towards that bigger goal of finding more time to practice. I have a few different practice journals that I have bought over the years through Carolyn's Flute Shop. So I will definitely put those resources in the show notes below. Seeing is believing. Okay, again, just like the laundry organizer, you need to have these systems and organizational tools in place to help you reach your goals. So let me scoot on over now into another circle, okay? And that's my business circle. This could be your career circle, whatever the case may be. One of my goals was to generate X amount per year for my 3 businesses. Great. Another big goal of mine for one of my businesses is to create valuable content for you on a week-to-week basis for the next 52 weeks. Okay, so if that's the case, I want to show you this as an example so you can see how then I'm going to be reaching that annual goal per the quarter, the month, the week, and the day. I don't know about you, but oh my gosh, sometimes I am an all or nothing type of gal. In my brain, I don't know why, but in my brain, I think sometimes it's possible. I'm going to sound crazy, but I think it's possible sometimes to, why not? Let me just go ahead and create 52 podcast episodes in one go. That's not practical, right? Unless you are freaking like Superman or Supergirl when it comes to content creation, that's probably not going to happen. And I have to remind myself that. So if that's my annual goal, 52 episodes produced for the upcoming year, you betcha in my calendar, the quarterly, monthly, and weekly goals will reflect that. So in order to reach that goal, I am putting into my calendar for the quarterly assessments that I am going to go into deep conversations with y'all in deep dives. I'm going to schedule out 30, 40 minutes to pick your brain within your flute world. This conversation, this dialogue gives me insight. It gives me inspiration and motivation to know where my listeners are at, because I want the content to serve you well. So if I'm not sitting down in the hot seat with you through these different deep dives, I don't know what's going on in your world. I don't know what's going on in your head. So in order for me to reach my annual goal, it is a priority for me as a business owner to go into those deep dives once a quarter. So I'm doing this deep dive discussion work with y'all once every 4 months. This task is in my calendar. This is where I'm getting super picky with y'all, and this is where I'm lovingly encouraging you to do the same thing. You have to make it a priority to put it into your planner. Seeing is believing. Like me, right? If I think, oh yeah, that's something that, is on the back burner. I have 4 months. 4 months is a really long time. I have all the time in the world. I'm telling you right now, for me at least, it will never get done. It won't. It just won't, because life will get in the way, right? Kitties will swallow toys, and there will be an emergency gas leak, or a water pipe will burst. Life happens, right? So if I don't have those quarterly goals into my calendar, I'm going to forget about it. And I don't want that to happen for you. So those deep dive discussions are scheduled in once every 4 months. Check. Then we're going down the funnel a little bit more. The weekly goals then are from those discussions. I now have content. I now have inspiration and a format to plug my ideas into where you are as a modern day flutist. For example, this episode, I am hearing that you guys are having issues with time management skills. Okay, what is my process? What am I doing? And how can I help you? So that way, when I go down and sit and figure out the content for September, I've had those conversations with you. I have the inspiration. I can break it down, and then bim, bam, boom, I've reached my goal. And then funneling down just a little bit more, now that was the quarterly, right? One thing I do for monthly then is I try to, I'm not perfect, Eric will be the first one to tell you this, but for the monthly then I try to batch record in the first week or two of the month in order to be set up for the rest of the month so everything flows really well. Okay? And that brings me to my last point, and that is I want you to try to wear one hat as long as you possibly can. Because these 4 circles are huge, right? Family, personal, career/business, flutist. These are big hats. And in each hat, there are different sub hats, right? As a business owner, I function sometimes as the CEO, but other times I can function as the chief marketing officer, the CMO. And if you don't identify what hat you're wearing, that's when you can feel like you're always putting out fires, because we need to stop and take an inventory of where I am within that circle. So if I'm working that day as CEO Heidi, business owner, I need to know exactly what hat I'm wearing for the next hour or two, or for as long as I can wear that hat. So that way, when I sit in that chair, I can be very intentional with my time and really strategic and work towards those daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual goals without always feeling like I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I hope that helps. And the systems that I have in place, the organizational tools I have in place to help me reach that goal could be a laundry organizer. But no, seriously, it literally is something that I am so passionate about. So for me, there are so many different systems that you can implement for your Flute world, for your personal world, for your career world. Different tools that I use throughout my life to help me reach those goals include Calendly, which is a really great scheduling link, Buffer, which is a great social media management tool, MailChimp for my newsletters, QuickBooks for finances, Trello for the different teams I work on and through for different projects, and Slack. My iCalendar is my best friend and also the reminder app. Everyone works differently, right? So I just listed off several different tools. But if Trello doesn't work for you, give it a try. But if Trello doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you. Find another tool out there. There are so many to choose from. But you have to have these tools in place in order for you to feel grounded, organized, and super focused and intentional with the time, money, and energy that has been allocated to you. Okay? So that's the biggest nugget that I can offer you today. And that is to try to wear one hat for as long as you possibly can and batch your work. We know this about science and research and how multitasking, what they have found to be true is that people who try to multitask, you end up wasting time. But if you batch your work and you sit in that chair and wear that hat as long as you possibly can within that certain bubble, within that certain circle, then you are going to be extremely intentional and strategic within that allotted time frame. And who wouldn't want that? Am I right? So this is what I want for you. I want you to have a clear vision of your annual goals per each circle. So that way, the days, the weeks, the months, the quarters that lead into your annual goals has a lot of clarity, a lot of focus, and a great flow. And to help you with that flow, remember you need a system. You need some organizational tools and a system to help you reach those goals. And I listed off iCalendar, reminders, things like that. To each their own. Find a resource that works well for you. But one coaching tip that I will offer you right now is I have everything color coded. So for the family circle, everything on reminders and the iCalendar for Eric and I is in yellow. Another thing is for Flute 360, that's blue. So my reminder app has little blue tags and my iCalendar has blue tags for Flute 360. And I can see all of my Flute 360 goals and tasks under that blue realm. And so color coding may not be your thing, but for me, it really works. So once you have these tools in place, once you have these systems in place, tweak it, make it personable, personalize the system, color code it if that works well for you. Okay. And I want you to get really creative. I want you to trust yourself. I want you to take the time out, take that inventory of your time, money, and energy, and see how these resources are being utilized. And we want them to be utilized to the best of your ability. Now, putting these systems in place may take a lot of time up front, but I promise you, you are going to save a lot of time in the long run because you have diligently taken the time, carved out the time to build up these systems, find a routine that works for you and for your family in order to reach the goals, and it saves you time in the long run. I hope today's content has served you well. And feel free as you are building out these systems for yourself. If you have questions, hit me up. Send me an email to heidikbegay@gmail.com. And just know that you are personally invited to the next Flute 360 Accelerator Programs session. These are the topics that we talk about. When people are wanting to make that pivot and they pull their hair out from their head and say, I don't have the time for this change. How am I supposed to do this? I feel like I don't have enough time. We sit down, we take an inventory of our friends' schedule and where their time and their energy is being allocated, and we ask these tough questions. What is going on? Do we have systems in place? Right? And it's not going to be easy. And I empathize with you. I know it's not easy. But if you need a mentor and friends to support you through a pivot, through your career goals, towards your musical goals, and you are having a rough time organizing your time, then we are here for you. These are the exact topics that we discuss throughout the Accelerator program. Pick my brain. There's pocket coaching that's also included throughout this program. I can't wait to hear from you and have a blessed week. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Flute 360 podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review through your favorite podcast app, such as Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, among others. Thank you. Let's talk about Flute.